We're going to ramble on here. We're live and we're back. We want to welcome Jim Cook, First Vice President for 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual. We're going to have an update about what's going on in the Homeowners Association over there. Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas. Hope you had a great Christmas. And
oh, yeah.
You ready to party for New Year's?
Yeah, ready to move on.
Ready to not party in New Year's. Okay, good. It's not for everybody. That's it's for a younger gen. Let's talk about Third's been around here for a long time. You guys do a lot of services, but for new residents in the community, what do you do to kind of get them oriented and get them aware of the services and basically like the community have?
Well, we have a new resident orientation, and we want to invite people, because things change all the time. So we want to invite people that have been here for years to maybe consider attending a new resident orientation, because then they can be brought more up to date on what's going on in the village, what's new rules, what's old rules.
Because the orientation for 20 years ago isn't the orientation of today.
Valid today. And they're scheduled monthly. On the screen, let's see, you can visit LagunaWoodsVillage.com, calendars for dates and times, and RSVP to info@LagunaWoodsVillage.com. And that's one of the ways you can get yourself more adjusted. We spend so much time dealing with issues where people just don't know the rules. They don't know how to live in a multi-family community. They've come from single-family homes, and things are different here. The better educated people are, the less time we spend dealing with infractions or problems that cost staff time, cost money, cost the board director's time, where we could be doing other more productive things.
Right. That's not really the challenge, is that people just don't know?
That mostly. And when they're informed, 95% of them comply. It's that 5% that cause the issues and the problems and the costs and the spinning of your wheels. And like people say, well, nobody reads the documents when you buy someplace. Well, you really need to read the documents.
Right.
Read what you signed and know what you're obliged to.
Right.
And one of the biggest things we try and encourage is people to get HO6 insurance. Because a lot of people don't understand that even if it's the HOA's leaky pipe and it affects the interior of your unit, you're still responsible for the interior of your unit. So you need HO6 insurance to cover that. And if anything you do affects mutual property or other members' property, it's on you. So you need that insurance. So we strongly encourage HO6 insurance.
Okay, so new resident orientation, whether you're new or not, is probably a good idea to get those updates and sign up for those, and a good run through of all the rules, right?
That's right.
Okay. You guys have a town halls that you guys also hold, and that's kind of like, complaint department meets, open mic night and has a baby, and that's a town hall.
Well, and it's less formal, much less formal. You're not standing up in front of the dais. It's more relaxed. And people can come and give their concerns. And that's on every
You guys do that the fourth Wednesday of the month?
Yeah, fourth Wednesday of the month. And that's at
Clubhouse 2. Clubhouse 2 Sequoia Ballroom, right?
Right.
And so do you guys get a lot of really good information out during those? I mean, can it be really informative for folks to show up for those?
Well, it's mostly answering their questions and their concerns. And a lot of things, we can't be aware of everything that's going on in the village. So sometimes they bring things to us and we can move forward on those with staff to try and correct some of it. We want to be positive, we want to be proactive, but we can't be proactive if we're not told.
Yeah, if you don't know what's going on, right?
And oftentimes people say, oh, this didn't get fixed, and we look and we research, nobody put in a ticket to have it fixed. We're not clairvoyant.
That's one of those process things. So why hasn't this been fixed? Why has this been fixed?
Because nobody told us.
Don't they know that's leaking over there, kind of thing?
Well, just like, I was on the fire department, and if you don't call 911, nobody knows to come.
You don't have spotters up on the towers looking for smoke.
And we kind of skipped over Mark Laws, that he does that Wednesday email.
Okay.
And you need to sign up for that Wednesday email also.
Okay, for sure. And going back to the town hall real quick though, what are some of the things you've found out like, have you learned from when you go to those town halls, like, oh gosh, these people don't know this, or this is the thing they need to know most?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's an education process. You know, it's why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, here's why. You know, and we have our governing documents that we're restricted. We have rules. You know, enforcement of rules. We have to enforce them if they're on the books.
Right.
If we don't enforce them, we're negligent. And some of it seems nitpicky to some of the members.
Sure.
But because we're in a multi-family community, you know, your rights end where the other person's nose begins.
Right. Yeah,
And so-
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of those things where you have that community mentality versus, again, the folks coming from single family homes where they do whatever they want in their place and it's theirs to do and that kind of thing. And so you come here and there's a little bit more structure that people aren't quite used to just yet. We have the app. We want to encourage folks to use Dwelling Live, and it's the great way to get people on the list for visiting and that kind of thing, but it does a lot more than that, right?
Yes, it saves money for the village. And any money we save is the money that's coming out of every member's pocket. You know, we don't make money. The money just comes out of your pocket. So if you want more things, you got to take more money out of your pocket. If there's things you can do that are actually easier if you learn how to do them, like Dwelling Live, you can go to the Mac Club or go to the PC Club and have somebody explain it to you. There's a tutorial online where you can go to that. But again, maybe you aren't educated enough on your computer to get to that tutorial. So again, go to the Mac Club or the PC Club and learn how to use your computer. And that way you can stay informed.
And folks can send you an email and you'll send us some information on it as well?
Yeah, if you send an email to info@lagunawoodsvillage.com, that's how you can subscribe to what's up in the village. That's how you can get put on the mailing list for President of the Board, Mark Law's Wednesday emails. And with that, you have more and more information. Make sure you have your correct address so you can get the Village Breeze that comes out every other month. And again, get yourself educated, because if you don't break the rules, we don't have to enforce them, and we don't have to spend money out of your pocket to do so.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about going paperless. You guys send your documents out just like everybody does, and VMS sends their documents out. There's an option to go paperless. And again, that's one of those things where maybe people aren't as tech savvy, so they'd rather just have the paper come to their house instead of having to look something up online. So that's kind of like one of those little tough transitions.
Right, and if you go to email, you know, instead of paper copy, that saves money. Again, that money coming out of your pocket. Just the 2 mailings that have to be sent out, the state has a requirement that you have to request to be given that information by email rather than hard copy. But each of those mailings costs $7.50 per person twice a year. So that's $15 for every person.
Thousands of mailings, that adds up quickly,
That adds up, and it's all coming out of the members' pockets.
Right.
So the more you do to cut down on what we have to spend money on to get information to you, the better off the village is, the less we have to raise the monthlies.
So people can email at information@vmsinc.org, and they can talk about their preference, whether they want email, mailing address, or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Now let's talk a little bit about that real quick, just for a second. There's always that balance where the residents want all the services. They want the really excellent landscaping, fantastic, pools, wonderful, but there's that yin and yang of like, well, we have to raise to provide the services. And this is one of those things, like you say, about how the residents can save money, because it all adds up.
Yeah, and to the point of, we want services to be better. We're trying to be more efficient. We're moving forward with it. But again, if people are educated, because everybody always has the solution.
Yeah.
But they're on the outside looking in, not on the inside looking out. So they have to educate themselves to understand the restrictions we're under. You know, we have a union. You know, we have CC&Rs that restrict us. We have the trust that, you know, makes things. And everybody complains about how slow things move here. And that kind of brings us into the committee structure.
Right, I was going to say, from the outside looking in, if you want to be on the inside looking out, we can have some committee opportunities.
Right, and so it's run by committee, and so that takes time. I'm the chairman of the ACSC, Architectural Controls and Standards Committee, and what I've done and what I wanted to accomplish was making things more efficient. So we've taken the process from taking 6 weeks to get from the committee to the board to 8 days. And by doing that, people that are applying for mutual consents, things can get done quicker. And the more efficient, the quicker things are done, the happier people are. But that's another thing that I want to bring up is that everybody in here has a right to alterations of their unit. And yes, people are going to be inconvenienced with the noise and the construction, but every time somebody improves their property, it improves the property for the community. And the more people do alterations, the more they're responsible for, the less the association's responsible for, less money having to be spent maintaining that. So yes, you might be inconvenienced, you might have the noise, and you might have it. But again, you move to a multifamily community. Expect those kind of disruptions.
Right. Now, folks can serve in the committees. Your board members also serve on these committees as well, usually, right?
Yeah, there's generally 5 board members on a committee, and we have advisors to the committees that would be from the general public. And there's chairmen of those committees, and it just happens, unbeknownst to me, Mark's email that came out yesterday lists all the chairmen of the committees, lists all the members of the committees, and also how to contact those chairpersons and members through email or phone.
Okay.
And so if you haven't got Mark's email, find somebody to hit it, get it forwarded to you, and sign up for it. And that way you know, as a member, if you want something changed or you think something needs to be changed, you can go to these committee members and talk to them directly. You can go to the chairman of the committee and try and get it put on the agenda. If you don't do it that way, you can come to the committee meetings, and during the public forum, you can bring up matters that are not on the agenda during that time to get, again, we can't be aware of everything going on in the village. There's suggestions that can be made. We even have a suggestion box down in the community center where people can make these good ideas and put them in and possibly get some kind of bonus out of it.
And there's all sorts of ways, like you said, that people can communicate, right? They can send you an email, they can join via Zoom, because not everybody in the community is as mobile as they'd like to be or has the access to transportation can get everywhere, right? So there's different ways to jump in and have your input heard.
And again, we come back to maybe go to the PC club, maybe get your grandson or granddaughter to come in and show you how, to be able to go to the computer and look and see when these meetings are and see how to join by Zoom. You know, again, we want the participation. We don't want people just coming on some volatile issue. We'd like participation every time we have a meeting, you know, in some form, so that we can work on things instead of people grumbling. Tell us what your grumbles are, and we'll try and take care of it. And you've got the meetings to go to, you've got the town hall, you've got calling us. I prefer to be text because that way it's much easier for me. And if you send me an email and you really want to make sure I read it, text me and tell me you sent me an email. Both my phone number and email are listed.
Okay. Now, let's talk about some of these committees that you guys have. Finance is probably the biggie, right? Those are the ones, because that has to do with the money and where it's being spent and those kinds of things. So how does the finance committee kind of work?
Well, we did have it as the committee of a whole, where it was the whole board. And then we'd do that, and then that information would come to the whole board. So it was kind of like double duty.
Right.
And so now we have members that have more financial background setting on that committee. And then once they get through their process, they'll come to the board. Everything has to go through the board.
Right.
So even on the ACSC, we'll approve a mutual consent, but we approve it subject to the board's approval.
And then another one is, like you talk about, architectural controls and standards, and that's the one, you know, people are about what's going on with the house, why is there so much noise, things like that.
Well, actually, it's more for getting the alterations done.
Okay.
So architectural, and then also it's about if you violated what you're allowed to do. You
okay.
can't build on common area.
Right.
Very restricted on common area, but there are some things that are allowed. And then there's exclusive use common area that a lot of people don't understand, that even though it's exclusive use, you still have to have mutual consent to do any kind of improvements on that area.
Okay.
That would be like an enclosed patio where you have a wall that's built that was
okay.
there from the beginning, or you're squaring it off, or something like that.
Okay.
And we're just doing some revision on one of those, which is the patio pavers, patio slabs, and patio walkways. And we're just revising those standards, because a lot of these standards have been around a long time and haven't caught up with the modern day.
Right. And the modern permitting and the modern electrical and all sorts of things that just have to evolve as we go, right? Landscape committee is another one that people are definitely interested in, because that's one of the first things you notice when you come into these communities is the yards and the trees and the green spaces, right?
Yeah, and again, Ira is the chairman of that. He can be reached. Just like I said, go back to Mark's email from yesterday, because it lists all of our phone numbers and addresses, email addresses. So
that's terrific. Yeah. So maintenance construction is another one that's obviously one that you guys deal with, in maintenance and construction here a lot, right?
yeah, maintenance construction is a lot to do with us maintaining the buildings. And that's part of the reason that our fees are what they are, because we maintain the buildings.
Right.
We always get examples of other places. Well, it only costs this much. Well, yeah, but you own the whole building. You have to maintain that building, and so all you're paying for is the pools and the rec rooms and that. The association isn't taking care of your building.
Right.
And the association takes care of everything up to the interior wall.
Right.
But everything inside of that is the member's responsibility. And if the member does alterations that are in the wall, like myself, I gutted mine and put in new electrical, new plumbing and all that. Now that's on me. The association is no longer responsible for that. If there's a problem, I have to deal with it. And that's why I have HO6 insurance.
There you go. Right back to one of your points. We have residence policy and compliance is another committee that people can serve. What's that one about?
Well, again, it's the rules that nobody read. And it's actually the enforcement portion of that. And when I leave here, we've actually got a restoration thing where we have hearings, and we'll have hearings until 5 o'clock this afternoon. And again, we wouldn't have to have hearings from 9 in the morning till 5 o'clock if people understood what the rules and what their responsibilities are in the community.
Absolutely. We'll go through a couple of water conservation committees. We have the executive hearings, garden, villa recreation room committees, and so there's all sorts of committees and things that people can be a part of, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so if people are interested, they can contact the board, sign up, or volunteer, or maybe just attend one to see what it's like, to see if they want to join.
Just attend the committee meetings, and we encourage people to run for the board.
Absolutely. What is it? Why did you get involved?
I got involved because I was trying to do a remodel, and it was also COVID, so it amplified the problem. But so many times people don't even know whether they're in Third or United. United is the co-ops, Third is the condos.
Okay.
So when I would walk into alterations, I'd ask a question about the construction, and I'd get a United answer. I live right across the street from United, and up the street from me is United. So the first thing you have to know, and the staff has to know, are you in United or Third? Because there's different rules. And so it was just taking forever. And I was getting the wrong information. Then we had our computer breach. So of course all my plans got lost, but they said, don't call us, we'll call you. But they didn't know to call me because they'd lost the plans in the computer breach. So that's what I came in to do, was try and correct some of the things in alterations. And in working with staff, we both benefit. The easier and more simplified we make it, it's easier for staff and it's easier for the members. So it's a win-win situation. So we've been able to accomplish quite a bit in the 2 years I've been on the board. And it's a work by everyone. It's not just me, it's the whole committee, it's the board, and it's the staff that work together to revise all these different standards to bring them up to date.
You enjoy it? You're gonna continue?
Well, I was a city councilman before, and what I always say is, it's kind of like beating your head against the wall. It feels so good when you stop.
Looking forward to retirement. All right. I like it. Jim Cook, Third Mutual, the first vice president. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the update.
Thank you.
And have a happy new year.
And again, look at Mark's
Look at the
email.
rules. Look at Mark's emails. Look at the rules. Get that information, folks. All right. We'll be right back.